You're listening to the Journey Podcast. What transformations unfold when we learn to trust the navigator within us over the noise around us? Find out more in today's episode. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer, and with decades of experience with sadness, pain, anxiety, and stress, I finally figured out how to leave all that behind. And this podcast shows you how to break free permanently so you can reclaim your sanity and find the self-esteem and energy to go after the life you desire. With real talk about mental health, holistic healing, and the tough journey of coming out the other end. This is the Journey Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. In this episode, we delve into the journey of discovering our inner compass, a guide to navigating life's complexities with a sense of direction and purpose. We discuss the significance of tuning into our core values and instincts, which serve as a foundation for making choices that align with our true selves. Our guest shares her personal experience of finding her inner compass, offering practical advice and strategies for others seeking to connect with their own guiding principles. We examine the challenges and rewards of listening to our inner voice amidst the noise of external expectations and pressures. As an energy alignment coach and healer, Christina Fletcher helps women who struggle with feeling alone in their spiritual journey and overwhelmed by life's challenges by providing empowering guidance and support that fosters self-discovery and alignment. Through coaching, courses, energy healing, and tools in practical spirituality, she helps individuals reconnect with their intuitive strength, find peace amidst the chaos, and embrace their true power to create the life they desire, even if their day has them run off their feet. Christina lives in the UK with her husband of 23 years and their 3 children. Here is my interview with Christina Fletcher. Hi, Christina. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you because finding your inner compass is such an intriguing topic for today, and I really look forward to diving in. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I have to say, finding your inner compass is definitely one of my favorite things to talk about. Definitely.
Yeah, and so important in today's world. I feel like we kind of lose that compass at different times in our lives, and maybe even more so nowadays. So this will be a fascinating conversation. For starters, would you like to share a little bit about yourself and your own story, and maybe tell us a bit about what you do and how you came to do that?
Absolutely. My journey kind of expands quite a few years, really, where I started off always feeling like the outsider, always feeling like I didn't quite fit in anywhere, that nobody really understood what I was about. And after spending quite a while of trying to fit in and fill in the boxes, which I mean, as so many of these stories go, I finally just gave up and I just decided to just trust this nagging impulse that was kind of burning within me. I had studied theater in college, and then I went in to study religion in university. And I'd done so as a way of kind of trying to figure out where I belonged. And I was incredibly lucky to sit down with a professor one day, and he just said, Christina, just give it up. Just stop. Stop looking. You're a mystic. A mystic doesn't question anything. Just work on their own relationship with divine, with spiritual forces and spiritual energy. It really set me free, but at the same time, it left me feeling very isolated in that journey. And I started to explore what I had been holding back from, of what he had sensed within me. And luckily within that, I felt called to start reaching out spiritually for a partner, for someone to walk my path with. And within another year of that, I ended up meeting my husband. And actually, it was this magical, intuitive, deeply sense of following your inner compass, because there was nothing else that was going to get me there. Jumping on a plane and landing in the UK, only to kind of be led to meeting him in a class. And we were engaged within 3 weeks, and he followed me to Canada within 6 weeks. And we're still together. It is a partnership made in other times. Within that, that really gave me proof of what an inner compass could do, because it was literally like, Christina, go here, follow this. And it was this sense of tapping into something beyond my head. And then, of course, we had kids. And when we had kids, my head took over because I had all these lovely programming of what a parent should be and the role I needed to fulfill. And I got incredibly stressed. And I went down rabbit holes that I didn't want to go down. And I lost a sense of who I was. And I lost that inner compass. And it was only when I decided that it was more important to be happy than right. And it was more important to follow my inner compass than check all the boxes of being a good mom, that things fell into place again. It just took flow from there. It was all about this sense of, oh, this feels intuitive. This feels aligned to me. Again, listening to my inner compass, that then things would go well. And the minute I contracted from that, the minute I held on to really weighing in what everybody else thought or what everybody else did or what everybody else told me to do, that's when things contracted and that's when things stumbled. That's when I got more stressed, more anxious, and I could feel my head start to cave in. It became this dance. And then, of course, I started writing about it. I started coaching about it. I've made courses about it. And that's how you find me here today.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that journey. It sounds a bit like a fairy tale that you went through. I love that.
We've had our moments. Thank you.
Yeah. We don't often get to hear these really cool stories that work out. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
And you said something really curious while you were telling us your story, and that is that you lost your inner compass. And actually, I was going to ask you, does everyone have this inner compass? And if so, how come some people can't seem to find it or can't seem to hear it?
Great question. That's an amazing question. Everyone does have an inner compass. The simple answer. Everyone does have an inner compass, but we're taught not to hear it. We're taught not to listen to it. We're taught not to trust it. The other day, my husband, we were talking together, and he's like, it's so funny because everyone always just says, make sure you listen to your head and not your heart. But it's the exact opposite. And it's just that we have been trained and beliefs have been imposed upon us so often to tell us not to trust that. It sneaks in though. And I think it's important to draw attention to any time you've ever been like, yeah, that just didn't feel right. Or, oh, it went against my intuition, or I went against my instincts. These are all indicators of following your intuition and following your inner compass. Even things like when you are out for a drive and then all of a sudden you realize maybe I should go check the stove to make sure I turned it off. And you go back and it's turned off, but you still listen to something and you have no idea what you would have hit or what traffic you would have found or what accident you would have had if you hadn't listened in that moment. There's a suspension, there's a trust that has to take place to do that. You do it more often than you think. It's just that we consider it luck or we consider it chance. And I think it's always important to actually explore where we are finding that rather than where we aren't. We can easily tell the stories. However, our neural pathways, our brains love to get in the way of that. And that is why you mentioned earlier that really loud times. We live in times where the inner compass is muffled because there's so much going on. We're on our phones. We are constantly bombarding by information and it's information overload. And in that, it means that our heads are doing all the work. Our heads are thinking that they are the master of our lives. They really aren't. And it's about finding that connection within yourself, in your heart, and actually going heart center, that then all of a sudden you start getting these nudges. A choice feels lighter. A choice feels heavier. A choice feels more expansive. Another one feels more tight. Another one feels heavier. It's amazing how you just start feeling things rather than thinking them out. We've been taught out of it. And that's the simple answer to your question.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I completely agree that we are taught to just kind of stuff that down there, think logically, make realistic choices that will get you somewhere. So we're not really taught to listen to our gut feeling or our intuition or any of that.
No, it's true. There's science to back it up, honestly. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Heart Math Institute, but they did a beautiful study about your heart radiance, your heart energetic field. And we're not even talking like spiritual energy. We're talking about just like the actual electromagnetic field of your heart. And it's 5 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of your head. And they measured the messages between the head and the heart. And the majority of messages come from your heart to your head. And when I've read this, I was like, this is unbelievable, because I just had this image of your heart spewing up all this information, telling your head stuff, and your head being like a broken telephone, getting it entirely wrong and being like, oh yeah, but actually we don't do it like that. And then telling us the wrong information. You're left in this fantastic position of having to observe the discussion between your heart and your head and taking a step back and saying, okay, which one is really in my best interest? Which one is really providing me with information that's whole information, not just programmed information from my old neural pathways and my old patterns and my old beliefs and what I've been raised? Your heart wins every time. Every time.
Yeah. In essence, we have a head brain and a heart brain. I really like that.
We do. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a fascinating thing when you actually give power to your heart.
Yeah.
You can be in the most stressful situation. You can be totally burnt out and run to your edge. And you can put your hand on your heart and take a few deep breaths, and you fall into your moment. And you know that the insight that you're going to get is totally different than your head trying to figure things out. And we spend so much time, it's like, I've got to think this one through. It's like, no, you don't actually feel it through. Drop it into your heart and ask for guidance from there. And you will get an entirely different answer, because your brain can only function with the information it's observed, and it already has. So yeah, 2 brains, 2 voices, and it's about aligning them together so that they function. And that's the finding the inner compass. But we aren't taught this stuff. We're only just now tiptoeing into talking about it. Even inner guidance, there's a sense of guidance coming from outside of you, a sense of, I need to ask what's outside of me or the universe to come in, rather than actually knowing that it's actually within you. That people hesitate at that. Even having your own inner compass, people go, oh, that's egotistical to think that I have the guidance within me. It's like, it's just the way it is. You are always receiving, and you can always find that guidance within yourself.
Yeah, I love that. We talk about alignment, and I feel like this goes so much deeper than people might think, oh, this is a spiritual thing, and I just kind of do a bit of alignment energetically, but this goes so much deeper. There are actually a lot of physical things related to not following the inner compass too, like people getting a lot of backaches or stomach aches or chest pressure from not being in alignment. And that's not even counting all the mental emotional effects like anxiety or depression when you're feeling those. I feel like this goes a lot deeper than just that surface level. And we're going to talk about aligning ourselves a little bit. It's a lot more than that. So in today's world, how does that inner compass connect with all of the problems that people are having as far as mental health challenges, being stressed out all the time, being burnt out, feeling anxiety a lot of the time? How does that connect together?
Honestly, I'll have to say that that was beautifully said. Bringing all of that together was just beautifully well done. I would actually say that following your inner compass, in a lot of ways, you have to see it like the observer of yourself. The minute, and I'm actually just going to tell a little example for myself, a personal story here. Just last week, my inner compass kind of shot out this little thing of, oh, not quite as in alignment as we like to be. And I observed that, oh, I was feeling a little stressed in my body, and I was feeling a little off, and I was feeling a little easily rubbed a little bit. And these things are so easy to just brush off. It's just so easy to kind of shove them under the carpet and go, oh, just bad day. The inner compass is the voice that says, go deeper. So my process is this, actually, to tie in your question about energy alignment. The way I work is I see energy alignment as divided between 4 worlds. So the 4 worlds of yourself. These can be seen as like the chakra system. It can be seen as, in psychology, they talk about it like you have your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit. We all have different components, different layers of ourselves. In my work, four energetic worlds of yourself: your physical self, which is how you show up in the world. It's who you are. It's how you are feeling present. If you're feeling grounded, if you're feeling safe, it's your nervous system, it's your digestion, it's who you are. Your emotional world, it's what you're bringing into your heart. It's how you're feeling. It's how you're listening to your inner guidance. It's how you are flowing. It's how you're loving yourself as well as allowing love to other people. It's also how you're communicating. It's how you're listening. It's all of that. Your mental world, it's where you are thinking. It's what loves to overdrive. It's like what's the burnout. And then you have your spiritual world, which is how you're letting all of this energy in, what you're open to, if you're feeling more trusting to that inner guidance, to your inner compass. I suppose, actually, I haven't gone there, but really you could say that your inner compass in a lot of ways is connected to that spiritual, energetic world, which is kind of an interesting place to go. And I haven't gone there yet. For me, okay, so I was feeling a little off, feeling a little stressed, a little anxious, a little bit of a flow that I didn't want to go to. So I went and I had a shower because that's where I love to do my work. And I was in the shower and I was like, okay, four energetic worlds. How am I feeling in my physical energetic world? I checked my nervous system. I asked how my digestion was. I checked to see if I felt grounded, asked if I felt safe, and I was fine. Checked my emotional world, worked up. Checked my emotional world, see, was I holding on to anything? Was I processing my emotions all right? Was I feeling loving and open? Noticed a little bit of icky stuff, noticed a little bit of issues. And then I checked to see, moved up. Mental world, check to see my mental energetic world. Was I thinking too much? Was I overpowering? Don't want to spend too much time in there. Otherwise, you're just going to throw even more out of alignment. And then my spiritual world, check that out. Realized that I noticed the most ickiness in my emotional energetic world. So that's where I did the work. Did some forgiving, did some releasing, did some loving, did some appreciating, did some gratitude, did some deep breathing, took care of my lungs, and all of a sudden I felt better. That long explanation was really just to show that there's no issue in being out of alignment. The inner compass tells you when you are out of alignment or not. It's then what you do about it that then what counts. But this is human life. Human life is nobody feels perfect all the time. Nobody feels in alignment all the time. No one is at their best self all the time. It's not the point of living. That's where this stretch goes. It comes into the inner compass, and trusting your inner compass gives you the nudge. It tells you, like any compass, right? It's like, we're not due north anymore. You might want to turn around. So the question is are you going to turn around? And how are you going to turn around? And that means feeling into where you need to go. It's the woman on Google Maps who shouts at you, you were in the wrong way. And then making sure you put the steps in. But it's not a big deal. It doesn't need to be hard. It's observing yourself. That answer your question?
Yeah, I find that fascinating. And there's a few things that I'm thinking about as you're explaining that. You said that you like to do the work in the shower. So when you work with clients, do you find that people have preferences of kind of spaces that they feel best in to do energetic work in or to do this intuitive work in? Is there things that you've noticed patterns around where people feel a bit safer to do that?
Ooh, great question. One of the reasons why I love working online is because people are working in their own spaces. I often notice that they gravitate to their most comfortable chair. They gravitate to where they feel the safest. They feel where they can relax. And actually, that's the first thing that I always say to a new client. It's like, find somewhere that you can totally just relax. This is not about sitting ready to take notes. That's why I always offer notes to my clients. It's a question of really getting into that space where you can be open to yourself. And I find that attending something like going to someone else's office, it's their space. Then they go home and it's like all their old energy. It's like you walk in the door and you're back where you were. It is a question of that. I like always doing my own personal tapping into my own inner compass in the shower because the shower actually, this might be just something that's been formulated into my head, but the shower is the element of water that links into your sacral chakra, which is that beautiful balance of physical and spiritual. And actually, interestingly enough, the sacral chakra is part of your mental energetic world, which is such a fascinating thing to me. Those two are so linked. You find flow when your thoughts will let you. And that's why all the best ideas come in the shower, is because that's when you're actually activated in that state of flow, in that state of opening up. And yet at the same time, your brain is still active. There's a beautiful balance there. So that is why I like to do it best in the shower. But really, wherever you're most comfortable is always the best place.
Yeah, I like doing creative work in the shower too. So there must be something about the flow.
Oh no. It was this dawning moment when I was reading about sacral chakra a few years ago. And I was like, oh my God, element of water, sacral chakra, balance of physical and spiritual. It's like the best place for inspiration. You just open up and receive and then can navigate. It's powerful.
Yeah, something for listeners to try. I mean, if you're feeling stuck and you're wanting to kind of tune in a little bit, you can try the shower. I do kind of feel like it also amplifies our ability to tune in. The water is very soothing. It has this flow. We have this connection. So yeah, maybe try spending a few minutes extra in the shower and kind of tuning into yourself to see what's happening. And actually, that brings me to another question I wanted to ask you, because you said that you go through the 4 parts, the mental, energetic, and also the physical energetic. So can people learn this? Because innately, I think it's maybe not something we have ever heard of, or we don't learn it in school. Can they learn to tune into certain parts and figure out what's going on with their inner compass?
Absolutely. Absolutely. First of all, it really is important to just start observing yourself. The number one key, aside from your energetic worlds, just observe yourself. And there's a very simple question to ask yourself whenever you want to observe yourself. And that basically is, how am I feeling? And don't look for happy, sad, emotional states. You're actually looking for, I'm feeling tight. I'm feeling open. I'm feeling, my head is really loud. I'm feeling out of my body. And just start observing yourself from that. Just that alone, just observing yourself. And then ask yourself, well, does this feel good or not good? And if you're like, well, I feel out of my body, it doesn't feel good, then get outside, stomp on the ground, shake yourself about, get into your body. So it starts with that. And then it's a question of when you start introducing the 4 energetic worlds. And I mean, on my site, there's a number of ways that you can learn more about that. And I'm really diving into creating more and more about that. Then it just starts actually breaking down, well, where is this feeling coming from? And just divide yourself up. If we were on camera, you'd be able to see me kind of, is it above you? Is it your head? Is it your heart? Or is it your legs and you're actually feeling present, like your root chakra, the base of your spine? Do you feel in your body? If you're not feeling in your body, it's your physical energetic world. And then, of course, your emotional world is like your heart. And then your head is your mental energetic world. It really is, I will actually add this. Number one, if you don't know and you come up with, I really don't know, Christina, I have no idea what you're talking about, look at your physical energetic world. How do you do that? Start with your nervous system. Start with your nervous system. Nervous system regulation is one of the most important things that we can be talking about today. Make sure that you are in a rest state and not in a fight or flight state. Most people nowadays are in a fight or flight state, whether we know it or not. And it just comes from the world we live in. Taking time to tell your body she's safe. He's safe. You're safe. All is in this moment in time as you listen to this, you're still ticking. All is well. Your heart is good. Your lungs are breathing. You are in open state. And we have to get back to a normalcy of that rather than feeling like the sky is going to fall in at any absolute moment. And if the sky is going to fall in at this actual moment, wherever you are, then get out of the way. Just take care of yourself. But your nervous system will tell you something will happen that you go, I need to move. I need to get out of the way. You can trust that. We have to stop being in a state of always triggered. That's your number one step of making sure that you can get back into alignment and tap into that.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
No, it's important.
You obviously have worked on the alignment, your inner compass, and you do this with clients as well. What kind of things have changed in your life? What do you notice when you're following the inner compass versus not following it? Are there any very obvious changes that you have noted or patterns that you're seeing with your clients of things that shift when that alignment actually starts happening in their lives?
Ooh, absolutely. Basically, things go well. Not to put too fine a point on it, but when you find alignment with yourself, when you're listening to your inner compass, you're set free. You're set free because you know that there's something so phenomenally empowering to be able to know that you did your best at any moment. Even if your best was 40% or 50%, at that moment, you were listening and you were trusting your inner guidance and your inner compass. You find that things flow totally differently. For instance, I've heard clients say that they got stuck in traffic. And you go, well, that's not things going well, Christina. And then you go, well, wait a second. Because they were stuck in traffic, they noticed a beautiful red cardinal flying by. And because they know the beautiful red cardinal, they knew that actually it was a message from someone who's passed on, basically saying, hey, you're being cared for. And they felt overwhelming sense of love and well-being. So then the traffic would move. Or then there's other stories where they missed the traffic altogether. I've heard clients who have realized what their purpose was and found that the path just clicked in together because they were following what their heart was telling them. One of my clients is a phenomenal woman who she had been muttering about being a doula for years because she loves babies. And then through following her intuition, she just found the right doula program, attended it, said it was the most joyful experience. Now is a doula, loves it. I love watching her on Facebook as she presents those. But other ones that found the right house, like simple manifestations in a lot of ways, but joyful journeys. And that's the difference. We can all achieve things, but we put so much pressure on things when you try to do it by the book. What I love to witness is when people let go of the resistance or let go of the needing to do it the way you're told to do it or how your head tells you to do it. And then you just find alignment. You find that things just unfold differently than expected, but in the most easy, flowing, natural way. That's what I would say is the biggest difference.
Yeah, that actually sounds very tangible. Like those are things that aren't abstract concepts anymore, but actually things that clients can feel on every kind of level, on a physical, in all their relationships, their finances, probably their work, their career, everything. It kind of trickles into all of those things and make ripples for them. So yeah, that is amazing.
That's what I'm passionate about. I'm not passionate in having, I always say that I like to take spirit off of the hobby shelf. You are this magnificent, energetic being who happens to be in human form at this time. And that human journey can be full of a lot of challenges and full of a lot of heartache and a lot of frustrations and a lot of stresses. In a lot of ways, that's what we all come for, because when you navigate this, when you're in a stressful situation and you actually go, actually, I'm going to choose to follow my inner compass and I'm going to choose alignment instead. And I'm actually going to open up to all of the flow and see what happens. So it's when you're opening up to that flow and all of a sudden you just feel like everything just transforms. It just means that something that was stressful all of a sudden stops being stressful. Something that we just have a little tech blip. And rather than it becomes this, oh my goodness, when you work in flow, you're like, well, that's interesting. Why is that happening? What is that? What are we looking for? Where are we missing? What needs to be realigned? It makes life more interesting no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think we could use a lot more of that in our lives. I think everyone has ways that that inner compass could be very beneficial to them. So, yeah, it's fascinating what you're talking about. And you, of course, work with clients on this as well. Do you want to let our listeners know a bit about your programs, your services? How could they work with you? And then what can you help them with?
Ooh, okay. I have to say, I love your questions. You're wonderful to talk to.
Thank you.
I offer one-on-one coaching. I offer courses, and I also have a membership program where we meet weekly. What I help people with and what people can expect whenever they work with me is to have practical tools to call in all of their resources, all of their energetic resources, their inner compass, their heart energy, the inner wisdom in a very real time way, from grounding in the grocery aisle to finding inner guidance on which route to take. It is really about, I help you find freedom to do that. We clear out anything that the beliefs, the shoulds, the old past hurts that might be holding you back from knowing your inner compass. Because although we might make it sound easy on a podcast like this, like, no, just listen to it. Those beliefs that have been put in place, those are very concrete neural pathways sometimes. And neural pathways, what I do really in the long run is I help you create a new path so that you know your own self. We have all beliefs that are based on old versions of ourselves. And that's like a lovely pathway carved out in a cornfield. You have to chart another path. That's what I walk people with. I walk beside you and cheering you on. That's my one-on-one work, which I love to do. I have courses on energy alignment. So I actually have 4 courses. They're mini courses that last a week each that actually take you through aligning each one of your worlds. One on the physical energetic world, one on the mental energetic world, and one on the emotional, one on the spiritual. And that gives you literally like simple, practical tools to help you clear that out right away. Everything from a physical course has a whole physical workout that you can actually do every day if you want to actually really get that energy flowing and really get into alignment in your body. That's what I do. I get you simple tools to help you show up as your whole self and let alignment flow through you. That's me.
I love that. And actually, that leads into your podcast also, which is called Showing Up Whole, right? So that works hand in hand with what you're offering.
Sums me up.
Yeah, exactly. And our listeners can, of course, find your podcast from their favorite podcast provider and listen in for themselves, check out your episodes. And we will be linking to all of Christina's offerings in the show notes as well. So you can find the information there on how to work one-on-one with her, where to find her courses and programs. And we hope you check out some of her offerings and see how listening more and aligning with your inner compass helps you in your life and what kind of changes you experience if you start aligning. I'd be very curious to find out more about that.
I'd also like to add too that if you are wondering about where you need alignment most, if you are wondering about the energetic worlds within yourself, over on my website, I do have a quiz that you can actually take. It answers some really simple, some fun questions to help you really identify what world you should put your attention on first. So that's just at spirituallyweareliving.com/quiz.
Yeah, and that will help listeners also kind of get started if they're feeling a bit overwhelmed as to where to start with this whole thing. That'll be a perfect first step.
Absolutely. I don't want to throw your mental energetic world out of alignment by giving you too much information.
Yes.
Start with the quiz.
Yeah. Start there, take the first step and go from there. So thank you for sharing that. And we'll link to that as well in the show notes so you can check there to find the information. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And this has been another incredible episode, and I really hope our listeners have enjoyed the journey into finding your inner compass as much as I have. I had a very entertaining half hour with you, Christina. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. I truly appreciate it. This was such an important topic to talk about.
Thank you for having me on. I had a lovely time as well. Anytime.
Amazing. Take care of yourself, Christina, and speak soon.
You too. Love and light.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Journey podcast, please support us by subscribing, sharing on social media, and leaving us a review. We appreciate you. And you can find more of The Journey on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our website, thejourney.com. Sending you love and courage, and see you next time.